the name of the channel is Escaping the Echo Chamber, right? But if I'm just saying how I feel, and the only people showing up are people that agree with how I already think, then we haven't actually escaped the echo chamber. We've just created a different echo chamber. So what I want to do, and this is going to be hard because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days now, several days now, about how to accomplish this. And I said the best thing to do is just get in there and try. So what I'm going to do is, in a few minutes, I'm going to start the clock. A few minutes, I'm going to start the clock for an hour. For an hour, I am going to be somebody who advocates and supports gun control. For the hour that I start this timer, that's who I am. That's what I'm thinking. That's all my arguments, all of my everything I'm saying is coming from the perspective of a person who supports gun control. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that, but if you're somebody that opposes gun control, feel free to comment what you think I'm wrong, and I'll try my best to argue competently from the position of somebody who supports gun control. If you're somebody who supports gun control and you think that some of my arguments are flimsy or not doing you justice, feel free to let me know, because I'm not trying to create a straw man of the pro gun control position. I want to put forth the most compelling, the most impassioned, the most substantive arguments of a side that I don't necessarily agree with, because that's what escaping the echo chamber is about. It's about not just me being in my own head with my own thoughts. Like, I have to be able to put myself into the mindset, into the thoughts, into the feelings, the motivations of other people who may not just don't think like me, but may have drastically different opinions, drastically different solutions that they're looking for than I do. Was ending the gun show loophole. So that means that instead of being able to buy guns at gun shows without background checks, if you buy a gun at a gun show, you still have to go through the background check and everything. There's no way around it. And even though I look at Uvalde, Buffalo, neither of those individuals got their guns from gun shows. Potentially, this one thing could stop certain people with bad intentions from getting their hands on a gun. So if a person knew they couldn't pass a background check, they might go to a gun show in order to get a gun. And then that way they'll be like, hey, okay, I can still get my gun, still do some bad stuff with it without having to worry about getting found out before I can get it. Ending the gun show loophole is one of the things. The second thing he wants to do is universal background checks. So that would apply to gun shows as well, and to private sales. So in terms of, if your next door neighbor is selling his gun, you'd still have to go through a background check and say, hey, yeah, I got to fill out the paperwork. Still got to get cleared by the feds to determine that I am eligible to own that firearm. Does that sound, so just off the top, does that sound bad to individuals that actually are against gun control? Ending the gun show loophole, universal background checks? If it sounds good, let's move on to number 3, a mandatory waiting period. So already for firearms, there's a 48-hour wait. Handguns. Handguns, there's a 48-hour waiting period. What if we had a 48-hour waiting period for all guns? What if we had a slightly longer waiting period for all guns? What if it was like a 5-day waiting period? Doesn't that give people time to make sure the background check is done thoroughly, and it also gives the possibility for if there's any red flags, any concerns about a specific individual, doesn't that give them time to, for the appropriate authorities, appropriate individuals to find out and go, whoa, 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 not that guy. That guy can't get a gun. But putting myself in somebody else's shoes, it's not necessarily supposed to be easy. But I do think it's something that could be very beneficial. And the shooting will still happen. Well, you see, here's the thing. But like, if we have the like a comprehensive background check being taken place during those 5 days, doesn't that then pretend doesn't that then pre- present the opportunity for somebody to be like, oh, wait, that person's not supposed to have a gun. So that's why I say, like, so let me tell you that David Pakman gave 10 things, and so I'm gonna go through the rest of them because that's just the first three. I'm gonna go through the rest of them, and then we can finish and look at them. So, no high capacity weapons under 25. So, if anybody who's under the age of 25, he says, hey, nobody should be able to own, these weapons with these, definitely no extended magazines, but just, I guess, single shot, maybe revolvers, maybe uh, mandatory gun insurance. And he says, like, so mandatory gun insurance, and also, if you're under 25, higher premiums. Required community support letters for anyone under age 25 who wants a gun. So anyone under 25, they have to have support from the community. People saying, "Oh yes, this gentleman, this young man, great, kind young man, not a danger, not a knucklehead, not looking to harm people, well-adjusted person. He has references to go to buy the gun." 7, ban some weapons. So that would, your weapons of war, your assault rifles. These are weapons that, like, people could still have handguns, could still have other rifles, could still have shotguns, but they just don't need the AR-15s and stuff like that. The stuff that we've seen being used in these tragedies, in these massacres. Periodic mental health evaluation. So he's saying, hey, and the argument he says is, hey, you've got these Republicans talking about mental health is such an issue. Well, why isn't mental health being an issue? Why aren't people, before buying the gun, subjected to a mental health evaluation? Why aren't they subjected to a mental health evaluation, and then periodically, after owning the gun, having to go through mental health evaluations to make sure that they're not destabilized? Because if a person is having mental health problems, a mental health crisis, and they have a bunch of guns, imagine a person has, an arsenal of 20 guns, and then something happens, they start having a mental health breakdown, they go through an evaluation, and people realize, oh boy, we need to step in and take this person's guns. Like, couldn't that save lives? An extensive licensing process. So, like, even longer than just, the 5-day waiting period of having to go through training and basically prove competency for the ability to own and properly operate a firearm. And then also a gun buyback program to help get a lot of the guns. So I guess, like, if we're getting rid of AR-15s, so that people don't have to just lose their weapons, they can be compensated for their weapons. And so these are the 10 things that David Pakman had suggested as being possible gun control laws that could be enacted. And, like, even if all 10 of these things are enacted, people still get to own handguns, people still get to own rifles, people still get to own shotguns. So there are a bunch of people that still get to have their guns. Now, there are some people who don't get to have guns, and those will be the people that can't pass the mental health evaluation. They don't have their guns, right? They don't get to keep guns. The people that can't pass the licensing process, they can't get the guns. They haven't displayed the competency, the knowledge, the safety, all of the things that they need to do to justify being able to own a gun. Just like if they can't drive, they can't get the driver's license. Boom, they can't they don't have the requisite knowledge of safety, safe handling of the firearm, they can't get the license. And then, and people under 25 who don't have a stable community support system, they can't get the guns. Thank you for checking out this clip from Escaping the Echo Chamber. If you would like to check out the entire live stream, you can click on the screen now, or you can find the link in the description below. I'll see you next time.